Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I better not say you not a man.
That's it.
Atlanta runs since his reappearance. Here's Mutombo, guarded by Mills. Double comes on the dribble to Grant Hill. Back to Corbin, who takes the three. No. And Hill with a rebound. He'll run. Leitner gets back, left side. Grant Long was flying, and Hill found him.
He was flying, but that was a sensational catch.
Look at my guy. It seems like yesterday Grant Long played quite a few years in the NBA, and how we crossed paths was in Oklahoma City when the Thunder arrived from Seattle. And fast forward, Grant, it's been about 15 years.
It has. The same amount of time I spent in the NBA, about 15 years, man. How about that? So
that unreal.
Our roads are similar, and we cross paths a lot of different ways, but it is what it is, you know.
Oh, it's a beautiful, and it's I think when we look back at these memories, we cross paths with some amazing people, and then to be connected by social media, all the negative things about social media, this is a positive.
Indeed, you hit it right on the head. To be connected through sports, you meet so many good people, man, and it's just that's what makes it worthwhile. And I've been in business as long as I can remember, man, and the thing that I'll take away, not so much the basketball games that I've played, but the people that I've met and the relationships that I've established along the way.
And that's what it's all about. And before we dive into Grant's story, we got to give a big shout out. I know you see Manscaping on the top, but we'll get to that later on. But Jim Saxton, State Farm Insurance Agency here in Austin. He's an ATX OG, former Longhorn and Westlake High School quarterback. His dad was a Heisman runner-up way back in the day. His late great father, who started this insurance agency, and his son is still carrying on the legacy, so to speak, and doing good work for all of your insurance needs. Give Jimmy a call. He makes you feel like family, kind of like Grant Long here by the same token. And, I got to give a shout out to everybody who keeps watching and listening. That's a pretty big deal. Yeah. That's a pretty big deal for everyone who's continuing. Be sure to share us, like us, and subscribe to us on Facebook, YouTube, whatnot. And I got to give a big throwback here for Grant. I know they changed name. The Eastern Michigan, I know it was a Huron back then. They've since changed names.
That's right.
And the funny thing about this, you haven't aged a bit since this photo was taken.
Oh, man, the glory days. Take me back to a time. College basketball, man. I listen, Sean. Listen, man. College, as you already know, is, and I tell this when I speak to kids all the time. College will be the best 4 years of your life. If you do it right, it's the best 4 years of your life. You have so many memories. You're coming into your own as an adult. You find out, who you are, what you're going to take, what you're not going to take, and you move forward from there. But you gain so much responsibility and independence. And I tell you what, I got my sea legs there, and I never looked back after that. But it was a great time in college.
Doesn't matter where you go.
Yeah, you're right.
It's an experience. And that you could not have said it. That is sage advice to any young folks watching or listening. You heard it here first. Grant Long, another guy or individual who states it's the best time of your life where you grow, and it's what you make of it.
Yep.
And this guy, he had his jersey number retired there at Eastern Michigan, and still has that same $1 million smile and everything. And I think he still got it, though. You could post up a little bit still these days.
It's funny you say that. We played we had a league game last night. I've been playing. You know what? I never stopped playing. I love the game of basketball, and people will ask me all the time, how come you still play?
Yeah.
Are you waiting to get hurt and you can't play anymore? Why don't you just walk away?
Right.
And I've seen so many former players do that. They get hurt, and that's the reason why they can't play. but I do love the game that much. I love being competitive. You hear guys say this, or you've heard people say this all the time, that they would play the game whether they were getting paid or not.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true for everybody, but it's certainly true for me. That's why I still play. I love the sport of basketball. I love watching baseball. I love what baseball is. That's one of my favorite sports, but I love playing basketball. I love competing with those other guys. Give me 4 other guys on my team, and let's just go out and see what we can make happen. And we played last night. We lost by 3 points, but, we still play just about every day, man. It's a great feeling to still be able to not necessarily compete at an NBA level, but compete just the same. And that's what it's about, just competing, not giving up.
Yeah. Is that a local league?
That's a local league, right?
League.
And it's a local league, and then there's another league that I play in that we travel in the neighboring states, which is Ohio is very, very close to us. Indianapolis is very close to us. So we'll go to those 2 places and play other teams there. But for the most part, it's maybe 10 or 12 of us that play, and we've been playing together for about the last 10 years or so.
I love that. You're still acting. We were talking about this before we started this podcast. The key to a healthy life is to keep moving. And that's what you're doing. You can worry about ACLs, whatnot, but but you gotta be moving to enjoy this life.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
So you were a member, and you're gonna have. I remember it, the 1988 draft class. I'm just trying to remember the names. You were, was it a first round or second round choice?
Second round choice with the Miami Heat. Remember the Miami Heat? That was their first year of existence. So they were an expansion team. I was their third or fourth pick that year. Ronnie Cycli. Some guys obviously came over in the expansion draft. The late Pearl Washington, Billy Thompson was in that draft. Scott Hastings. A lot of older guys came over in that draft. But the draft picks were myself, Ronnie Cycli, Kevin Edwards, and then myself came along in the second round. It was a very good team. It was a great time to be in the NBA because, first of all, it was an expansion team. The way I looked at it is that, hey, man, you got a number of opportunities to make a team. Nobody's team is set in stone. Like, imagine in 1988, at the time, the Los Angeles Lakers, they were my favorite team. Imagine being drafted by the Lakers and trying to go in and make that team that has Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Byron Scott, Magic Johnson, Billy Thompson. You got all of those guys on that team. Michael Cooper. They're winning championships. That's the heyday of Showtime. No way a kid from Eastern Michigan is going to go to the Lakers and make that team. They're not cutting anybody from me, Sean. So that was manna from heaven that I was able to get drafted by Miami, a brand new team. They were looking for guys who were going to work hard, understood basketball, and that was my role. That was me. I worked hard, understood basketball, and understood coaching and all of that. Let the coach coach me. And that was just like a huge blessing that I was able to be taken and drafted by the Miami Heat rather than a team that was already established and who had established players.
See, I remember that. I feel like that was the golden era of the NBA, even though they've marketed it beyond globally now. But you really put together a nice career. I mean, I want to say, and I hope I got that number right, 1,000+ games.
Yep.
Over 9,500 career points. It's hard to find photos of back when I was a teenager and you were in the league. I think that's the one on the bottom of, I think you were with Atlanta.
That's right.
And then your trading card up top. You made it when you have a trading card.
You know what? It's funny you say that because a lot of guys, your age or younger, remember the trading card era. I mean, I go to card shows now and guys will show up with a photo album full of basketball cards that started during that era that we're talking about. Everybody got into basketball cards. It was huge. You couldn't go to a game or an arena anywhere without first seeing some people that had had a handful of cards. I mean, like it was a deck of cards. They had them all. And they would always get the players to sign them. It was a pretty big deal.
What was when did you realize? Because a lot of people have in life in general walking away from something that they're passionate about and they love. What was it that you realized, okay, I've got to walk away from this game?
You know what? I walked away from it at the age of 33, and it was a career decision for me, quite honestly. It was a career decision after my last year I was with the Boston Celtics. That was year 15. I was 33 going on 34. And, you know, guys play till they're 40 now. I was in shape. I could have played at least 3 or 4, possibly 5 more years, at least, because I had never come off the bench. That was, my last year in Boston was the only year that I had come off the bench. I had been a starter.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could have at least spent 3 or 4 years coming off the bench. But the decision came when I was in Atlanta, living in Atlanta at the time. I was a free agent. Like I said, that was my last year. I finished with Boston. And Larry Brown at the time, he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. And he called me up. He said, "Hey, Grant, we'd love to have you. What you represent is surely what we could use here in the city of brotherly love. We're trying to build something special." And I said, "Hey, that sounds great, Larry. Let's put together a deal." And he came after that and he said, "Well, you're going to have to make the team." Now, what that means is we can't guarantee you any money. That means that you could go through training camp and we could cut you and you get nothing.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, you know what? I'm pretty long in the tooth at this point. And I know the business. And I don't want to be just a body in training camp and then all of a sudden you get rid of me and I get no compensation for that. So you've got to guarantee me some money." And he wasn't willing to guarantee the money. So that deal fell off the table. About a week after that, we're going into training camp and I got no team. But the Atlanta Hawks call because my good friend Steve Smith had signed on to TNT to do broadcasting for the Hawks. Now it's October, about a week away from training camp, and Steve gets a call from the Charlotte Hornets to come back and play one more year. He hasn't officially retired, but pretty much he had retired because he had signed on with TNT. TNT calls me and says, "Look, Steve Smith is getting ready to go play one more year of basketball. Do you have any interest in getting into broadcasting?" So that's where my decision was made. Do I try to hang on to the NBA for possibly 2 or 3 more years or start another career that could span 20 years? So that's where I came to a crossroad and had to make the decision. I'm going to leave basketball alone. Even though I still wanted to play, it was a great opportunity to start another career. So I took that job with TNT, and it was with the understanding that Steve was going to play 1 year, and then he was going to come back, and they were going to give him that job. But it gave me the bug that I wanted to do broadcasting. I wanted to do analyst work with the NBA. So that's how I got started in the broadcasting business. It was just by happenstance. I had to make a decision about my career, and I think I chose the right one.
No, you did.
Awards later now, 3 Emmy Awards later, I think I made the right decision.
Hey, that validates that decision.
Bingo.
And you know, that what a smooth segue, because that's where he and I met. And this was I wouldn't say this is the best clip. This is like a pregame report back at the practice facility. And it just to show the people, you know, you analyzed with the digital team about the game, the upcoming game. This was before I think the Thunder played the Lakers.
You think about the Lakers, they've had even Jody Meeks, the guy that plays the shooting guard for them normally, they had him starting at the small forward position. So their lineups are very, very discombobulated. 4 different lineups in the last 4 games for the Lakers.
So that, you know, that's not the best example, but when you have a busy week, that's what you settle for when I'm trying to dig around the archives. Oklahoma City, there's so many routes we can take. And, you know, it was a great time to be there. And not many franchises experienced the type of success that they did. But I have to start with this because I think you and I can both agree we were very fortunate way Sam Presti and that franchise drafted, inherited KD, and just a great organization with this roster. So many people want to know or say what could have been, so to speak. How was it for you and Brian Davis when you saw these 3 come together, Russ, KD, and Harden, basically on the 2 on the bookends on their rookie contracts? Russ stayed a long time. KD did stay a long time. And then, as we all know, Harden bounced to become a franchise guy for the Rockets. What do you think could have happened?
And man, you look at those guys, man. 3 MVPs. Now, of course, none of those MVP. I don't think you get all three of them an MVP award if they stay together.
No,
certainly apart, they were all worthy of their awards. But man, when that group, and like you said, you got to give Sam Presti a lot of credit, man, because he was able to put those guys together. And Serge Ibaka always gets left out of it, but when you throw him in there as well, that's a championship caliber basketball team, man. And when that team went to the finals, I'm thinking, boy, this is so sweet, man. They built the team the right way, built it through the draft, and their players that they drafted are leading the team to the finals. You couldn't ask for a better scenario if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder. Sam Presti, Clay Bennett, and that whole ownership group. It just went the right way. Now, having said all of that, you have to understand that these guys, as young as they were, and with the success that they experienced so early, they were not ready for that. They were not ready to be the leaders that we've seen them become away from Oklahoma City. If they had that mentality, but that's the one trade-off. You can't be mature and young at the same time. It's a trade-off. You have youth, and you have to deal with the mistakes and bad choices sometimes of the youth. When you get mature and seasoned as a veteran, you're not as youthful. So you got to make a great combination. And that's where we are with these three players now. They're, I wouldn't say long in the tooth, but they are much more wiser than they were as young players with the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you ask either one of those guys if they would like to go back and do it again with the knowledge that they have of the league and who they are, they would say, yes, let's go back and do that again. And I guarantee you we win a championship, because certainly the talent was there to win it. Just they weren't mentally adult enough or mature enough to handle it. But I think certainly the talent speaks for itself.
And I think Sam, I thought, did a great job of bringing in Perk, the old guy, the grandpa, if you will, to keep those guys and impart wisdom like you do as well. And that kind of
enough about Nick Collison as well.
Nick,
yeah,
yes, Mr. Thunder.
There you go.
Man, those were great times. Not only did we cross paths there, but it was a great environment. The playoff atmosphere was, I'm not going to say unmatched, but some of the top environments in the NBA in the history, I think.
Easily.
And it's, God, it reminded me of when they played Memphis, of the old kind of the physical old school of the Celtics and Lakers.
Yeah, that was a grind. There was literally some bad blood between those. I'm serious. I remember when Memphis came to Oklahoma, and I think it was Zach Randolph and Big Perk.
Yeah,
both of them get thrown out of the game, and they literally run. I don't know if you remember, they ran off the court to meet each other in the back hallway to get it on. I mean, I'd never seen anything like that. They talked about this era of basketball being soft. But Perk and Zach Randolph, they came from a different era, man. And those guys were chatting it away and chopping it up on the free throw line, and the officials throw both of them out. And they like, well, let's meet in the back hallway. And they both tear out to meet in the back hallway, and security's right chasing both of those guys. And luckily they did, to keep them from getting into it in the back hallway.
Those were great times, Grant. I mean, it was good basketball, and then we got to see Kobe on the tail end. And, I remember he was such an advocate or a supporter of Russell. And I'll be honest with you, Grant. But people who know me well, I always told people when I was in that industry, I would never become a fan of the team or individuals, but I became a Westbrook guy. 100%.
Not to, man. Really, it was.
It's God, and it's the criticism he receives in LA. It's hard for me to see or read that or hear it, but you know how careers go, and you're in front of all these people and fans. I'm not trying to be too negative, but fans say what they want to say now, and there's no repercussions.
And they're entitled to it, quite frankly.
Right.
Entitled to it. We have a different feeling for Russell because we were there. We know him personally outside of what we see on the basketball court. We know all the charity work that he did in Oklahoma City. We know how giving he is of his time and what he does for children. We know all of those things. So we understand that what he does on the basketball court is just a very, very minute percentage of who Russell Westbrook really is.
He's such a good guy. Now he's just, I think he's taken on the role of obviously being a father.
Yep.
Is it 2 or 3 kids? I can't remember.
I think it's 3.
That's, man, and
I know for certain.
I know
It's God, it's just fun watching those guys and KD develop who he is. Modern day NBA.
Uh-huh.
My mindset is still in the mindset of when you played. What are your dislikes and likes of what the game has become?
I try not to be that get off my lawn type guy. You know, hey, get out of here, get off my lawn. I don't want to be that guy because basketball has always been about evolving, and it's been very cyclical. You know, I've watched it where the guards have a chance to be very good. I've seen it where the guards are just plain facilitators, and the big guys get all the accolades. I've seen it where now the league is all full of guards and basically positionless basketball, where your big guys are now out front handling the basketball and shooting from the perimeter, where I came from a time where that's big guys didn't venture out more than 12, 13 feet from the basket. Other than that, the coach was yelling at you or taking you out of the game. So now, with that being said, your big guys are shooting threes, and they're shooting them at an alarming clip. So basketball has changed. It's like I said, but my all-time take, and I learned this from a coach. He said, no matter how basketball changes, no matter what it does, who's dominating the basketball, the forwards, centers, guards, or whatever, there's still going to be a championship to be won.
Yeah.
And that's what you play the game for, to win the championship. So it's up to the players and the coaches to find the best way to do that. Doesn't matter how the game is being played. The prize is still going to be the championship at the end. And that's what I look forward to. And that's what keeps me involved in the game. The second thing I'll say about that is basketball to me is the best reality television that you
That's a great point.
You know what? I'll say sports in general is the best reality. Now, we see a lot of stuff that they say is reality TV, but we know that it's scripted. Yeah. There's nothing you can script about sports. You can have the Lakers for the last 2-3 years have been the Lakers are going to win. The Lakers are going to win. But the reality TV says you still got to play. And this team or that team on any given night can have their best game and the Lakers don't win. The Lakers could have a bad series and they don't win or get into a playoff situation. So that's the reality. That's the reality TV that I like, that even though it's the same team that you cover, you have no idea what's going to happen from game to game. This guy that came off the bench might give you 25 and 7 assists, where he didn't give you anything the last 25 games. So you wait for those moments as a broadcaster or as an analyst, as a fan, you wait for those moments because you have no idea when they're going to come. That's why, to me, sports is the best reality television.
That was well stated. You know what? I'm going to have a different viewpoint mindset now after you said that, because change is inevitable and you never know what you're going to get. And from one possession to the next in every sport, you have no idea. Or reactions and the drama. It's like a fiction, nonfiction, or drama that's unfolding before our eyes at every moment.
Yeah, you get all that in one game. You really do. I mean, you sit on if you're a baseball fan like I am, you sit on the edge of your seat when Aaron Judge gets up to the bat. You're thinking, he's knocking this out of here. I hope he gets all of it and sends it out of the yard. Come on, man. That's great baseball. That's great sports, man. It's great.
Hey, before we take a quick break, we got to go to a segment. This delivers quite a few smiles, some embarrassment, but when the people support you, you got to make a segment for this certain supporter. Hey, Manscaping in the man cave. I like this thing I've called a saying I had. Our significant others would prefer us not to resemble the German Black Forest below the belt.
Oh, man, I haven't heard it put that way.
And Manscaped.com, they've done a tremendous job of marketing. They've done an amazing job of creating tools, if you will, to help us. It's not just women. We need to take care of our appearance where the sun may not shine except for a few months out of the year. From nasal, ear, below the belt, the Lawnmower 4.0, all these tools are legit. You can even use it in the shower. They're even talking about they have products which, supplement our daily deodorant, everything. Use the promo code MANCAVE20 on manscaped.com for 20% off of your first order. Are you a user yet, Grant?
You know what? I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm not a user, but I'm going to definitely have to look and see what's available because I am one of those guys. I adhere to everything that you just said. I do. I just do it in a different way. So if you've got tools that will help me, it's definitely worth a peek. Let me take a look and see what's going on.
I think I need to connect manscaped.com. Our guy Sam over there, I literally have never asked when we have conversations basically through email of where he is, his office is. I'm going to connect him to the Grant Long, by the way.
Yeah, man. I'm full body all the time.
You and I both.
Yeah, so I like it.
You smell good. You feel good. You just perform well and everything.
We need some tools of the trade now. Okay. Like, man, have them.
That's great. Hey, is there one story that you love to tell it was amusing when it happened, either from your playing days, broadcasting days, as you continue, anything that you remember that you love to tell, and it's just as amusing as it was when it happened?
One of my go-to stories is always Larry Bird. And I know, obviously, a whole lot of people don't know who Larry Bird is, but he is a legend, then, now, and forevermore will be an NBA legend. And I can remember I had an opportunity to guard Larry Bird as a rookie.
Yeah.
This was during the time if you know Larry Bird, he had some serious back issues later in his career. So he was coming off the bench a little bit. He was sitting with heat packs and ice packs on his back every time he went out of the game. So this particular game, we were actually in Miami, and this is all taking place now there's a 24-second clock. You realize this. So This is all taking place within the 24-second clock. I'm guarding Larry Bird, and as coaches tell you, you get good shooters and you try to send them one way. I know that he's getting some screens on both sides of the lane. So I'm underneath the basket with him, and I got my arm wrapped around his waist to trail him and force him out the left side. I'm thinking left side, he's not going to be as good going out on the left. So the whole time I'm wrapping him up, I got my forearm giving him the business in his back and his lower back where he's got a little bit of pain, I'm thinking. He says to me very vividly, I can remember it like it was yesterday, Grant, get your elbow out of my back right now. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that. And so he said, if I get hot and start making shots, he said, this play is not even for me. So if I get hot, Rothstein's going to take you out. Ron Rothstein was my head coach at the time. He said, if I get hot, he's going to take you out of the game and you're never going to play anymore today. So what do you want to do? You want me to get hot and send you out of the game, or you want to let me go since the play is not for me anyway? This is my rookie year now. I let him go. I let him go. He darts out off the screen, knocks down the shot. He's laughing at me going down the court. Laughing the whole way. I said, but you told me it wasn't for you. Welcome to the league. Welcome to the league. That's what he told me. Welcome to the league. That's one of my moments of Larry Bird, man. That's a great story. I couldn't believe that, we were having that kind of conversation underneath the basket before the play actually took place. It was pretty cool.
Classic Larry Bird, man. That's a moment. Wow.
Yeah. I was just happy he knew my name. How about that?
He not only did the scouting report, he did a little extra homework on the rookie.
Exactly.
Man, that is initiation right there.
Big time.
Rite of passage.
I love it. One more story.
Yes, please.
My rookie year, obviously with the Miami Heat, we're playing the Atlanta Hawks. And it's a close game. It's one of my best games. I've got 25 at that point. I ended up with 25, but I had 25. I was cooking so good, Sean. They gave me the ball for the last play. And I go by my guy, and all I see is the basket for the easy two, and the game's over. And out of nowhere, Doc Rivers steals the ball from me. Game over.
Oh.
I never saw Doc Rivers coming. He took game's over right there. But what I remember that part of it, but we're walking off the floor, and Dominique Wilkins comes over and he puts his arm around me. And remember, I told you I had 25 points. That was my
in Atlanta? That's in Atlanta?
Exactly. That was my highest point total of my rookie season, 25 points. And that was the first time I did it. So we're walking off the court, And Dominique Wilkins comes up to me and he puts his arm around me and he says, "You're going to have a hell of a career in this league. Keep doing that right there. You're going to be fine." And that in itself, to have, again, Dominique Wilkins come up to me and say that after the night I had, that tremendous pat on the back and just gave me the confidence that I needed to continue throughout the NBA.
That's infusion of positivity there, right up here.
Yep, exactly.
Man, that's what we needed to hear. And second segment, we'll address an elephant in the room that is a big elephant here in Austin, Texas, as far as college basketball is concerned. And that's going to be on the other side of this break. For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the stories inside the Man Cave Boys recommended you.
This is JJ Gotch, CEO of the Austin Gamblers, and segment 2 of Stories Inside the Man Cave is next.
All right, we bring our guy back. We had, you got to pay tribute to the guys who helped make all this happen. I've got to bring up a subject that I know it's nationwide and it's hard to avoid, but when you involve a guy who leads a major college basketball program, and Chris Beard, I have the utmost respect for the guy, what he's done here, what he did at Texas Tech. He was an understudy of Bobby Knight at Texas Tech. This guy knows basketball. He knows how to recruit. He's just opened a new arena here in Austin. Unfortunately, was involved in a domestic violence situation with his fiance of 3 years. Was arrested early Monday morning. And Grant, these are subjects that are hard to discuss because you don't know all the facts. You don't know all the moving parts. He's been suspended indefinitely without pay currently. And that's what an organization like a university has to do. But I think they're supporting him until the court process plays out. From what you know, if you're UT or any major college, any college, I mean, what do you do in a situation like this?
I got to tell you, it's going to be tough for him to come back from this one, whether, found innocent or not. I remember, and this is probably a little bit more severe. Remember Ray Rice and his wife,
right,
and the altercation that they got into. Well, she ends up saying, "Well, I don't want to press charges." Well, at that point, it was too late. The state took over, press charges anyway. Domestic violence is, it's such a broad range, and it's never, let me be clear on this, it's never an appropriate time for a domestic, whether it's male on female or female on male. It's not appropriate ever. And, it's so many levels to it. You could restrain someone and the charge of domestic violence could come up until you get through all of the findings and you get to the court and they say, well, all he did or she did was hold my arms to keep me from hitting him. Well, that's domestic abuse. It's some form of domestic abuse. So we don't know just what form of domestic abuse he's being charged with, but we do know that he is being charged with it. And I'll go back to this. As far as the college is concerned, they took the right steps. You got to get him off campus until this thing has a resolution to it, because he can't be around the kids.
Right.
That's just a toxic situation for them. And it's not good for him as well. So he needs to go away and separate himself from the university and his team, and whatever help that he needs, he's got to get it at this point. I like what you said. The university is still supporting him until they find out exactly what happened, so they can get all the facts and then make an educated decision on what to do or how to move forward from there. I'll go back real simple. As my mom used to tell me, and we're adults now.
Yeah.
And it's strange that childlike advice still works. And as my mom said early on, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself. It's simple, but it's true. And I'll say this about relationships. I'm no relationship guru, but I do know this, Sean. If you're in a relationship and it gets to the point that you're so angry that you feel like you want to put your hands on him, or her wants to put her hands on him, it's time to leave. There's no more to talk about. I don't want to go to counseling. I'm not giving up on it, but if you've made me that angry that I need to put my hands on you, I got to leave, because there's going to be other incidents that I may not be able to restrain myself. And I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to put my hands on anybody. I really don't. That's not who I am. But I understand situations come up where people lose their mind. Yeah. It could be other things involved. Somebody could have been drinking. Somebody could have been doing some other things. Whatever the case may be, to prompt somebody to do that, I don't want to put myself in that scenario. So if I'm with a person that our relationship is that volatile and toxic, at some point it's going to boil over, and I don't want to be at the end of that boil over and get burned by it. So I'm leaving that relationship. So that's the best advice I can give somebody. If you're in that relationship and you feel like it can be toxic and it might boil over, leave it.
Yeah.
No amount of counseling is going to get you out of that one.
No, not at all. And I listen, the affidavit is very graphic of all the details, and I don't know what will happen. I'm not even going one direction. I just know the affidavit is heavy.
Wow.
That's all I can say. And if anything, maybe both are at fault, but in the end, you cannot place your hands, as you said, on a woman, period.
And we're all human beings here.
Right.
We're all human, and people make mistakes. And this is one of the things that I always preach, Sean, that no matter what you do, there's always a route to forgiveness. However, forgiveness does not remove the consequences of your actions. So if Coach is found guilty, he could be forgiven all day long, but the consequences of his actions may suggest that he has to step down as coach.
That's well stated, my friend.
Consequences are all you're going to always have to pay for it. You know, like I said, you can be forgiven, but the consequences don't leave because you're forgiven.
That's exactly right. You know, and this is a perfect moment for end with a positive note.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
We need some positivity after something like that occurs. And, you know, Grant Long, very positive guy, sage advice. Is there anything you've seen in this world lately? Because everybody seems, if you were to live by Twitter, and I recommend don't,
right?
There are a lot of positive things going on in this world that people are not aware of. What have you seen? That obviously the holiday season's a special time, but from what you've seen, what do you see that could give people hope?
A lot more people are helping other people. And I know that, I don't know if that is something like you mentioned, social media. I don't know if that's just something that tends to trend on social media. But I've always maintained that if you're helping somebody, you don't need to tell the whole world that you're doing it. But I do see a lot of other people helping other people. And that's encouraging to me. In a time where you would think this whole world is about, hey, me, look at me, look at me, look at me. You do still see genuinely people helping other people, whether it's in the grocery store. I've seen this countless times where the person behind somebody pays for their groceries. When the first time I saw it, shocked. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, you had no idea what that total was going to be, but it happened. I've been in a drive-through where somebody, when I get to the window, somebody said, well, the car in front of you paid for yours. People do that. People are really genuinely, they care about people and they want to help. And however they do it, you know, it may be the smallest thing, it may be the biggest thing, but the fact is that they are willing to look beyond themselves and help somebody else. And I think that's been big.
No, that's huge, Grant. That is paying it forward.
Yeah.
It's a common practice that I think a lot of us, because we're always in a hurry nowadays.
Yep.
Man, just tap that pause button, take a deep breath. What I've learned, and a lot of people laugh when I bring this up. I got into Bikram yoga about 6 years ago. Or 6 or 7. Man, it's taught me to, it sounds funny, to breathe. And slow the world down. And then, man, it helps you from everything to work, relationships, competing at anything you do.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that, Sean, because you sound like you're nailing it right on the head. You slow down and breathe a little bit. You can take it all in, better focus. You get to see everything.
Yeah. Because the world around us, man, we're too busy thinking about something or something that angered us or whatnot, or we're worried about something, and there's opportunities passing us in front of us.
And in our business, we're always looking for the next thing.
Right. Next great thing.
Our job to look for the next thing. So we miss a lot of stuff if we don't slow down.
Grant, I knew there's several reasons why we connected and still are.
My guy.
Hey, I wish you and all your family a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and stay safe, man. We got to have a in-person reunion at some point soon.
Same to you, Sean. All the best, man. Happy holidays.
Hey, much love to the Long family, and we're going to be in touch. Hey, Merry Christmas to you. You're in Michigan, correct?
That's right.
Man, I don't envy you.
Texas.
Hey, you need some heat. And it's not hot, but it definitely isn't below freezing like it is in Michigan all the time.
There's no snow in Texas. I'm certain of that.
Well, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, there was a lot. For 2 weeks, we were frozen.
Wow.
It's a rarity.
It is.
Hey, for the pride of Michigan, that being Grant Long, and the OG Man Cave boys, that being Coach Mo, Big Mike, and Hardball Hards, we out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up.